Welcome everyone to the Crowchest Talk Show, where we're going to do our best to dissect the Lunacia, where we're going to look at the origin parts. All right, sorry if the music is too loud. I actually probably should turn it down a tiny bit. All right. Brain time. Okay, so we are delighted to see the electric response from the community to Tuesday's preview of Origins Tailed cards. The feedback around the art and new mechanics were amazing. Can't wait for you to finally get to try them for yourselves. Today we have a next batch of cards, the back. Okay, note that the cards are dynamic. They're going to change everything over time. We understand. All right, we got high resolution puppies. So we're starting off with the reptiles. Yes, I am a Dota player. I play Invoker and Hoodwink. I don't even play Invoker anymore. I used to. Moonlight, thank you so much for the follow. All right, so first card, Bone Sail. We're gonna have a targeted card, right? So now we can target an ally with this, and we can set them up. And this is also a secret, which means this is gonna play like a trap card, right? So next turn, after the target is attacked, draw one card. So this applies a shield of 60, and you don't know where it's gonna go. But it will shield for 60 and draw one card if they get hit. We don't know if the cards will go away or not. Wait, Moonlight's actually like a Giga Chat player, isn't they? Aren't they? Oh no. But thank you guys all for the follows. So next up we have Tri-Spike. Tri-Spike is a 25 for 1 energy. It is no longer a backdoor card. And now it's actually a setup to deal 3 hits. The reason why this is very strong is if you guys have seen Cuckoo, if it stays exactly the same, Cuckoo, oh geez, let me just Cuckoo actually has this weird mechanic where it says the next target an ally, right? So target ally, where your ally gets plus 60 damage. They get plus 60 attack. Will it apply to one card, or if we play it on the Tri-Spikes here, right? Will it be 60 on every single hit? Because now that 25 per hit for 3 times goes from 75 damage all the way up to, oh, let's do the quick maths here. So we have 120 plus 75, or 180 plus 75. That's 225. My math is correct, or 255. Which would be absurd. I don't know. Cuckoo is definitely going to get nerfed. Oh, hey, no problem, Claudine. No worries. That is going to be ridiculously powerful. So multi-hitting abilities, since we have attack plus modifiers, are going to be very, very powerful. So we have the Green Thorn. This is actually a rename from Vine Dagger, right? Unless this is not a rename, and I'm completely wrong. So this is a skill. No shield, no attack. It applies 2 poisons 6 times to random targets and heals this Axie for 20. So now we have an interesting setup where we have multi-hitting random targeting cards, right? Vine Dagger is one of them. So it has no value on offense or attack and shield, but it is essentially a heal, right? So it heals for 20 guaranteed, but it doesn't show the healing here. It applies 2 poison 6 times. So based on this, I believe poison is going to get toned down. I believe the way poison is going to be like Slay the Spire, where it stacks of poison and it deals this damage, and it deals this damage every turn, and it has -1 stack per turn. I believe that's the only way they can balance it, and then per turn. Because right now, if you can stack this, if this hits one Axie multiple times, right? Then that's too much damage. Because it's 2 times 6. That's 12 poison stacks, right? That's too absurd. There's no way that that is going to be a thing. 12 poison stacks in today's meta doesn't make sense. So I believe that it's going to deal the damage, but it will constantly tick down every single turn, the way Slay the Spire does it. Okay, so we have bulk work. Indian Star right here. Target any ally. After that target is attacked, reflect 25% of shield lost. This is really tricky, because if this card doesn't get activated, essentially it's a lost card, and if they have something to go under shields, also has no value, right? So this card has to be comboed, because Axies don't innately have shields anymore, right? Yeah, this is not much. This, I don't know how well this will translate, right? Rip Reflectile. Yeah, Reflectiles are going to be a little bit in trouble, because 60 shield, let's say you played 3 of these, right? 60, 65, 60, right? We're at 185 shield. And then quick maths, if we do 25% of that, at most we get what, 50 odd, about 50, no, a quarter? Sorry. We get 25, we get like 40 damage reflected? That's not a lot. Unless the numbers are all crazy, 40 damage is not going to be super great. Right? It's 25%. I don't believe it'll stack either. We consider the shield itself. Yeah, the shield plus the reflect this combined, but that's 3 energy to get out this value of reflect, right? Because if you only play this, say, this by itself, 25% of this is 15 damage reflected. It's nothing. This might either get buffed or someone's gonna have crazy synergy with shields, right? So red ear is the new, it's modified, so it's just target any ally, gives shield directly. So this can synergize together, right? So this 65 can just go right into this to put it at 125. Still, 1/4 of this is only going to be 30-ish shield, approximately 30-ish shield, which is not a lot still. So I mean, maybe the reflects aren't supposed to straight up kill anymore. Hey, Real Snail, thank you so much for the follow and welcome. And then now we have Croc. Croc is also now a secret. Lots of secret cards. If you guys notice on the Reptile backs, shield, 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 shield. Reptile seems quite defensive, right? 3 secrets, quite defensive on the back. We're gonna see if that trend continues. Right here now, we have target any ally. Next turn, after the target's attack, apply bleed. How is bleed different from poison? I have a suspicion. If bleed is what it is, like in Dota, bleed will deal damage. It does damage per card played. It's going to deal damage per card played. So if your character is bleeding, every time you move, you will bleed more and more. So you could put this on an Axie, and they have to choose, should I keep playing it out because I'm going to keep taking out bleed damage? That's going to be a very interesting mechanic. It's going to be a dissuader on Axies to not play cards. If you bleed someone maybe once or twice, suddenly they don't want to play anymore because they might take too much bleed damage. That's my speculation. I'm a bit confused about the green thorn. Is it random on targets or even your own Axies get a random poison as well? I believe it's random enemies. I believe this is random enemies. Whoops. It should not target yourself. There's no way they have a pure RNG mechanic that can kill yourself. The reason why it says targets and not Axies is because we have summons, right? If we summon a bunch of guys, the summons will tank the poison, right? Because we can summon little birds and little crabs now. They will tank. I think tricky part on Axie now is to find some sort of balance between offense and defense. I feel that the money that we're going to shed to change during meta would be enormous. Yes, it's going to be a big play. Early on, aggression will be king, right? Aggro, early on, always is king. And as people learn how to play around how much they gauge the damage, right? So if they know what I'm going to say is the set damage. Like right now, our set damage is about 400, 500, right? We know if people play 4 or 5 cards, it's 400 or 500 damage, right? Unless it's a mech on a plant. So that set damage gives us an idea how much we're going to take. Once people figure this thing out, the baseline, then people can play what is called, how would I play it? Control. And then people will start figuring out control decks. Control decks are slow, defensive, counter, and don't let your opponent play. Literally just disable them, slow them, hex them, weak them. Don't let them play anything. Aggro, control, mid-range. Yeah, I'm using card terms from other card games because they will apply now, right? Because now that we have turn order, we're not playing a bluff game. We're actually going to be taking turns and alternating, right? We're going to have different play styles. All right, so let me get to the birds. The birds here has the balloon, which applies fear for 4 turns. So balloon is no longer a 0. It deals 60 straight up damage, and we have fear. Fear, I believe, is 4 actions, right? 4 actions are disabled. An interesting thing is we don't know if other Axies can stop it, right? But I think our understanding of it is we have our 3 dumplings here. If we apply fear to the first one, right? The first one tanks the fear. We call it F because it rips. Let's say we draw our 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If we have 3 cards, let's say 1, 2, and 3 belong to the front Axie here, we are screwed. Because we cannot play those 2. We can only play these 2 without getting feared. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, if, let's say 3 of these cards belong equally to this one and this one, it makes fear a lot weaker because you can still play out these guys and just ignore these 2 cards because this one's going to be feared. I believe that's the way, right? Because I think it says fear for 4 turns. I wonder if that's fear for 4 card turns, right? Not 4 turns back and forth, 4 cards played, right? It looks like a scuffed numbing. No, because numbing is a trap, isn't it? Numbing is on being attacked. Balloon is an active. You apply the fear, whether you get attacked or not, right? So we have Cupid here. This applies the bleed for 4 turns. Same thing as the last one, but it's active. So Bird is very active. Reptile is defensive with secrets. So now we have different play styles, all right? We already have different play styles, but now it's going to be very different. Shuffle 1 Jinx into the opponent's discard pile. We know what Jinx is. Jinx is a card that enters your deck. It is a 1 cost, and then it's a banish. This is a brick card. So you have to play 1 energy to get this out of your deck. That's what the Jinx is, right? It's like a little curse that you have to remove from your deck. All right, that's what we know. Because Dazed, we saw Dazed. The Dazed is the one that's a 0 cost. This one's a 1 cost. It's just meant to make it so when you draw it, you have 1 less card, so you get 4. And then if you have to get rid of it, you burn an energy. So we have Pigeon Post here, 55. So the damage is lower on this. Add 1 Blackmail to opponent's hand. Blackmail is an interesting thing. If it's like other card games, what Blackmail does is, it should be a 1 cost. Wow, this is fun. I actually can speculate a lot of these cards. This is awesome. Blackmail here. What it does is, for every turn this is in your hand, it has an effect. Maybe you lose 1 energy. Every turn, -1 energy until banish. Or maybe at the end of every turn. End of every turn. So this is another brick card. This prevents you from playing, and to get the detrimental value out, you have to play it out. But sometimes you want to play your other cards, you can't play it, right? So you have to hold on to it and let it punish you, right? So what if you got Balloon and Numbing as well? Does he get 8 turns of fear? I don't know if they stack, Real Snail. It would be interesting. I don't think they stack, right? Hi, is the most amount of SLP per win currently 14? I believe so, Zozer. I believe so. Kingfisher here. Secret. 0 damage, 0 effect here. Target any ally. Next attack against the target is reflected for 85 damage. So Kingfisher is a true reflect. Because this reflects 85 no matter what. Even if someone hits your Axie for 5 damage, they will get reflected. They will have a reflect for 85 damage the instant this thing is attacked. But if they know to play around, if they see the Kingfisher part, right? If you guys see the Kingfisher, you should be wary of the reflect now. Now you have to try to play around that. Interesting. And then we have a classic Tri-Feather. This is a 25 damage AoE, attacks all enemies. So it's going to hit everyone. I would be curious to see if this triggers secrets, because secret says next attack against the target. What if AoEs don't affect secrets? Because I believe if area effects hit every single secret, it's too strong, because you can just set up every secret at once. I believe area effect ignores secrets. That makes the most sense. Can I know what card is this? Oh, what do you mean, Riza? Or Riz Biban? These are the cards for the next patch. This is the next update. We're going over the back parts now. We talked about the tail parts in our previous one. So we've seen Ronin, right? We've seen that Ronin in the teaser. Deal 50% more damage per energy spent this turn. Because right now, we are starting at 3 energy out of 3. But later on, we're going to have cards that add energy, right? So we can make it we can make it 4 out of 3. Or we can make it probably go even to 5 out of 3. So that means we're going to get super crazy energy. So Ronin has to be held for a combo play. You play all your cards and you use Ronin as your finisher, because it says deals 50% more per energy spent this turn, which means this is your final card. This is what it's called as a finisher. You play out all of your other cards and your Ronin suddenly hits for a crazy amount of damage, right? If we play 4, it deals 200% more, right? So 4 times 50 is 200%, which means that is multiplied by 3, right? It's base damage plus 2 times. It's 120 damage. So it's a 1 energy 120 damage card if you play it appropriately, right? But if you get it on its own, if you play 2 cards into this, it's a lot weaker. It's only an 80, which isn't as bad, but it's not as optimal, right? Oh, I will hydrate, don't worry. Okay, so Okay. This card will actually be huge. Hero is actually going to be secretly one of the best cards. Because it is a 1 cost draw a card. No condition. Unconditional card draw. Very interesting. 60 damage. Unconditional card draw. This would make sense if you have a team that has extra energy, right? So you normally get 5 cards, or speculating, right? You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With 3 energy to play, right? 3 out of 3. So ideally, you can only play 3 cards. But if you have something like Nemo, which gives an energy, or 0 costs, right? You can actually cycle cards and play. Where's your Nemo Hero Aqua? Why? It's chilling. It's chill. I have 2. I have 2, remember? They're chilling. It's gonna be very fun. Okay, so we have Jaguar, Apply Bleed, so pretty normal card. So we have normal attack cards, but I think from what we've seen, almost every card has an effect, regardless of how much damage they deal. We have damage cards, even with the damage cards like Tri-Spikes, it will hit 3 times. They all have an effect, and none of them are, like right now, we have some cards that are just for damage. Like Aronda, just damage. Regardless of what the card text says, people just play Aronda to deal damage. Interesting, Risky Beast, 90 damage. Right, that means it's higher. The stat line we've seen is a 1 energy for about 60, right? Either 60 shield or 60 attack. This one is extra, but it applies weak, which is minus attack, right? So the interesting part is, if you use this as a finisher, right, then you don't get the negative penalties. You get the other turns, you get your other cards played. Very, very interesting. Okay. And then here we have Timber. Timber targets any ally, so this is the secret, right? Next turn, after an attack is played, or ally is attacked, add 1 Lumber Shield to your hand. So this adds a card. If this is like anything, this is a 0 cost card, and it probably adds maybe something like 60 shield. It's a setup, right? So that next turn you get an extra shield. Only if it's attacked, right? Only if it's attacked. Because it's 60 shield plus 60 if it's attacked. Or, if anything, this might be a 1 cost, right? But I believe it would be a 0 maybe. I think maybe it's a... Let's scratch all this. I believe this is actually going to be a 0 cost for probably maybe like 40 shield or 30 shield. Because it's going to be the zeros, right? Risky Beast, the Risky Feather. Oh yeah, you can play your final cards. Okay, so we have Purple here. Interestingly enough, okay, so if it says apply weak for 2 turns, if the cards apply to... if each turn counts as a card, right? Will playing multi-hits count as multiple turns, right? If I play Furble and it counts as 2 turns, I can remove the weak with the Furble. That would be a very interesting way of doing it. Furble deals 2 hits for 40, right? So this is 80, right? And then Tri-Spikes, we're going to denote as T-Spikes. Tri-Spikes is 3 hits for 25, which is 75 damage. So it is technically weaker, but you'll take more from things like Poison, maybe, and Bleed, depending on how the bleeds work. I think Poison is per card played, and Bleed is per action performed by that Axie. Maybe. Interesting. Okay, we have Bug. Okay, Garish is horrifying. Guys, what is this? This is terrifying. I'm gonna have nightmares. This is the finisher. I already said Crow would be great doing a podcast or something. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I would one day like to do a podcast. So Garish is a 2. This is a finisher card. 2 for 120. Apply 2 poison per attack card played this turn. And you say, well, I can only play 1, right? Because I only have 1 energy. But if we say we have our 5 cards, right? 5 cards, we play 0, 0, 0, 1 cost, 2. We've just played 4, and then I don't know if the Garish would count as 1. But otherwise, actually no, I think the Garish would count as 1. That means you play 5 cards on 2 poison. That's 10 stacks. 10 stacks of poison. That is ridiculous. But it is on 2 energy, so it's not overpowered. It's strong. It's strong but not overpowered, right? And I glossed over Snail Shell. So we have the Sticky Goo here. Sticky Goo is a secret. Target any ally next turn after the target is attacked. Shuffle 1 goo into your opponent's discard pile. If this is like slime, it's the same thing. It's 1, and then it's banished. You have to play 1 energy to get rid of it. Right? This is essentially known as a brick card, right? So this is the goo. It will brick 1 card, right? The idea is that if you draw your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if the first one is a goo here, this is a bricked card, so it doesn't count. So your opponent only has 4 cards to work with, right? And you can disable combos. You can disrupt combos with this. Of all the graphics in V3, Garish Worm is the one that I could probably beat. Garish Worm is horrifying. It is a little bit weird, but like this, oh, actually, Fuzzy Wing. We've seen this. We've seen this in a leak, right? Attack all enemies. Shuffle 1 daze into your opponent's discard pile. Yeah, so if it's like this, daze can't be that strong. Daze cannot be that strong because it is a 60 damage AoE for 1, right? It cannot be, daze cannot be as strong as goo. Because if you think about it, otherwise this is a card effect that hits everything and shuffles a card? No way. Because if we come up to here, if we look at the Tri-Feathers, Tri-Feathers attacks all enemies, right? It's almost the same for 25 each, right? So this is on average, if you hit 3 axes, it's a 75. Right? Is this identical to this? No, because this deals 60 and it has a card effect. But for this card effect to be even remotely close, this has to be similar in power to 15 damage, right? Because we have the Tri-Feathers, which is 75. To make the cards roughly equal to each other, these have to balance out. These have to add up. So that means the 15 damage has to be equivalent to daze. Do you guys know what I mean? Hold up. Basically, Aqua Terminators are OP, or Reptile Terminators, they might be. We don't know what Dusks will have, because, guys, remember, Dusks, Mechs, and Dawns will have their own cards, right? That's actually going to change up the meta, because your Dusks Terminator will now be different from your Reptile Terminator, because their eyes and ears will be different, right? Or they might just straight up get different cards given to them. It will depend, because right now we don't have Dusk, Dawn, or Mech parts, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's scroll down here. Do you guys like the Jeopardy music, or is it too cursed? It might be a little bit cursed, right? Alright, I lost my cursor. Okay, so let's tack on to these ones. We have Spiky Wing here. Deal 25% more to shield. So this is actually the Spiky Wing effect, plus it has its own innate damage. So this is Shield Breaker, so essentially this is Pliers. This is what Pliers currently is. Oh no, it's only to shield. It's not Pliers. It's not Pliers. I am wrong. It's not Pliers. It's only to shield, right? So if they play no shield, it does no bonus damage. Okay. Okay. Oh, Sandal. Oh my goodness. This is Asian parenting. I'm getting PTSD. 2 energy. Oh, this is 2 energy for 100 damage. Apply fear, of course. This is the most horrifying thing. When your parents come at you with the Sandal, you automatically get hit by fear. If target previously has fear, deal 50% more damage. So this is similar to what allergic is right now. Thorny Caterpillar. It will deal damage if you have a debuff. So the reason why this is tougher, because this is a 2 energy cost. That means you either have to set up a fear preemptively, because you cannot play 2 allergics back to back, right? Because it's going to require 4 energy out of your 3. It's going to be too much. That's going to be too much. That's going to be tough. But unless you get an energy setup, we're going to need a lot of synergies here. What if your fear stacks and then slaps you with Slipper? If fear stacks like this, right? Then that means fear is not what I think it is. Fear does not disable action. Fear does not disable action. Or, instead of it being straight action, fear might disable a card type. So let's say we have multiple card types. We've seen Hex, we've seen Jinx, we've seen... No, Jinx is not it. Hex, Weak, Fear. We have Doubt as well. I know what they are then. Fear blocks a type of card. It will be either an attack card, a skill card, or a secret. It will disable one of these. That makes the most sense. It will disable one of these 3. Because Doubt will be a similar thing. Doubt will actually disable one of these 3 as well. Ah, that makes sense. So you don't disable everything. You disable a certain card type. I think. It's either that or I'm completely wrong, but at this point, I think this is the most ideal. Right? That makes too much sense. Right? Because we've seen Hex lasts 4 turns. Fear lasts 4 turns, and Doubt lasts 4 turns. They can't be that strong. If they disable actions for 4 turns, that's too strong. But if they disable a certain type of action, that would make the most sense. Oh, HK, thank you for dropping that. I appreciate that. We're having our Jeopardy music while we discuss what is gonna go on with this. Okay, so we have Hermit here. Guys, this is one of my favorite sleeper cards. Hermit, target any ally. Negate 1 attack on targeted ally. If you see them playing a big burst card, right? Like if they played a 120 for a 2 cost, right? If you predict that coming, you play the Hermit, you nullify 120 damage. But if they play a 5 damage card, right? This is like hitting a 0. If they play a 0 into this, Hermit's very weak. So Hermit is very situational. Yeah, HK, they're redoing the entire game in the next patch. That's why they're putting out so many of these things. Blue Moon is strong. Blue Moon is the 1 cost for draw 1 card. This will synergize really well with Zeros and Nemo. So Blue Moon Nemo Aquas will be very interesting. Very, very interesting. Right? And then if initial draw 1 card. The reason why this is not super strong played together, you don't want to draw cards constantly. You do not want to draw more than one or 2 cards per turn. Because if you play out your 3 energies and you draw 3 cards, what happens? You have, so since you start off with 5, you draw 3, you go into 8, and you played 3, right? So that means you lose 3. Or you lose 3, this goes down to 5. You're back to 5 cards that you haven't played. You thin your deck, but if you have a certain card in your hand that you just drew that you need, you're gonna discard it at the end of the turn, and you redraw into the next deck. So draw is situational. You should ideally aim for 1 draw per turn if you have bad cards, if you have a bricked hand, right? Interesting. We have Sponge. Oina. You have your Sponge. We have Sponge here. It's a secret. It's a trap. 60 shield. So this is the standard for shield. Target any ally. Next turn, apply 5 damage boost to shielded target if its shield was broken. Okay, so damage boost, I think I'm not sure what this is, because it would be scary if it's flat. I don't think it's flat. I think maybe it's a multiplier. So 5 damage boost, and each damage boost is, say, maybe 4? Or something like that. Or maybe, if it's 10, it'd be too scary. 10 would be too scary. So 5 and 10 is 50 damage, right? So this is plus 50 damage on another card. So if another card hits twice, like the Tri-Spikes. Tri-Spikes is 3 times 25. So if this is plus 25, and these are all multiplied by 3 because of Tri-Spikes, right? Suddenly you have too much damage. Suddenly you have 225 on Sponge. This is really, really scary. One thing I want to note here. If it says 60 shield here, this does not apply to the Axie. This applies to the Axie that played it. Right? If you have your 3 dumplings, if the front one plays Sponge, the front one gets the 60 shield, but then the defensive effect goes to someone else. This effect down here goes to this guy, but the front gets the shield, right? I believe that's how it would work, because otherwise, if you played it, then the shield would just go to the mid, which doesn't make sense, because this is the one that activated it. Oh, that's gonna be tricky though, because actually, if you have your 3 here, and you play a secret, right? Let's say you play the secret. And you see the shield go onto this guy, right? If this secret gets 60 shield, and this guy only has Sponge, you know what secret it is. Because it can only be Sponge. The only thing is you don't know where where he put it on. Did he put it on the back? Or did he put it on the mid? So that's gonna be the mind games there. Because if the secret played gives the shield to that original Axie who cast it, you know which one it is unless they have more than 1 secret. So for secret teams, you actually might need 2 or 3 secrets to play mind games. Oh, interesting. Anemone here is 50. So Anemone is now a damage card. Whenever this is drawn, heal 20. You guys know why that's very interesting? Because if you have a cycle deck, like these that draw cards all the time, then that means you can cycle and never play your Anemone. You only play your Anemone if you need it, because it has a card effect whether it's played or not. You can literally just draw Anemones over and over and never play it. You don't care anymore. We have a problem. Are they going to have 2 Anemones? Because if they get double Anemones and you can just keep cycling the cards like that, it might be really bad. If you draw 4 Anemones, it breaks your hand, right? That kills your hand. So, but you can still play it. It's just not super great. Double Anemones might either get screwed or they have to synergize really well. It's okay with Telescope and Nemo. We'll see. But Telescope is Horn, is it not, Wise? Because right now people are working with double Nemas. Deal 4 hits. Times 4. We have 120 damage. For 2, right? For 2. This makes sense, right? So it's 60 per energy. 60 per energy right here. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, Telescope is I, but we don't know what Telescope is going to be. Wait, Weiss, do you know what telescope's gonna be? Can you share? But this deals 4 hits. So on anything that buffs a card, right? If this buffs... Oh, is it from the previous reveal, Weiss? Ooh, okay, okay. So if we have 5 damage boost here, and it applies to this, how much will it stack? Because what I think actually is 5 damage boost is plus attack per attack action. Because I think it would be like this. If you played plus 5 attacks here, it would be 5 here, and you play the perch, and it would take 4. It would use up 4 because it deals 4 hits, and then you would have 1 left. 1 remaining damage boost. I think that's actually the way it will go. Or boots. Oh, do you want to see Ellie? I will bring. I'm trying not to bug her too much because she is sleeping a lot. She is sleepy because she's been feeling a little sick. But this one is interesting because it prioritizes target with lowest HP. So it's actually a true reliable backdoor. And if you think about it, perch now with shrimp is ideal. Because now you want to perch and shrimp, because shrimp attacks the back for attacks for 60, right? I believe. So shrimp is 60 damage. And then now you can perch to finish them off because you get them down to the low enough health, and this will execute. Lowest HP, not lowest HP percentage. You are right, Wise. Lowest HP. So we're going to be working with numbers and not percentage, which will be very interesting. Unless they actually say it's actually percentage and the card font is not explaining it. That's going to be really interesting because now people can flesh out a backdoor team, but you need many, many parts. You no longer need 1 part. You need 2 or 3 to make a backdoor team. Ooh, we got into the plant. Is this the last set? Okay, we have the last set. I know you guys are probably getting tired of this, but we'll finish through. We have the turnip rocket. Look at these rockets. They're huge. They're going for the bird. After your opponent summons a unit, deal 25... This is held in hand. So if you have, let's say, because on your turn, right, you have your 5 cards. You draw your 5 cards. Your opponent draws their 5 cards. Your opponent here, he decides to summon 2 guys. That means that if you had, say, 2 turnip rockets, right? So let's say times 2 turnip rockets. Suddenly, 50 damage will come out to each of the summons, right? It'll come out to each of the summons because you're holding the cards. These cards will have effects while they're in your hand, I believe. Because this would never be played afterwards, right? This has to be proactive. Interesting. Looks like Dawn and Mech are not going to get a new card, I think. They will, they will. We just don't know what yet. Shiitake! Summon a mushroom. We have no idea what this is. All we think is this is a summon. This is a minion. We don't know if this is an offensive minion or a healing minion. That's going to be very, very interesting. Bidens. Okay, Bidens might be pretty strong in this, depending on how they do debuffs. Right now, debuffs aren't as big of a deal because we have other things that can remove it, right? We have other people, like if you have fear, you just play a 0 cost or something like that. If you have fear, you play other Axies. But if we have weak, doubt, hex, a whole bunch of other things, if you want to play it, this is a counter spell, right? So if you have your 5 cards here, and let's say they played something like hex, and it disables 3 of them. But you have a Bidens here, right? You play Bidens, it will open up the rest. And now you can play out all of your other cards. It opens that up. So that can be very, very interesting. It's all like a tech card. You hold on to it. Most of the time, you don't play it. And if you need it, you play it. It's just going to be a tech card. And what that is it's a very situational card, and it's used to do counterplay. If not, then you just don't play it and you just play the rest of your 4. Watering Can. 1 cost 60 shield. Target any ally. Next turn after an enemy is attacked. After an ally is attacked, add 1 pure water to hand. This is going to likely be a 0 cost card. And it gives you 1 energy. I already know what this is! I already know what this is. This is the same as in Slay the Spire. It gives 1 energy. This is the same thing as in Slay the Spire. Yeah, they actually called it a similar thing as well. It's a 0 cost 1 energy for next turn. Captain Teemo on duty? No Captain Teemo, please. Shield your team and apply 1 cleanser. This is artifact. This is artifact in Slay the Spire. This blocks, it blocks 1 debuff. This is the same as artifact. Yeah, shield your team and apply 1 cleanser. I believe this actually blocks a debuff. Oh wow. I'm gonna go talk to Slay the Spire devs to make an NFT game and put Axie. They could. I mean, this could have 100% been a thing. Except Slay the Spire's PvE, right? Oh man, this is actually gonna be huge. So this shields all and applies 1 cleanser to all. I believe either it's either blocks 1 debuff or it removes 1 tick of debuffs. I think that might be actually closer to what it is. Right? Sorry, I scuffed the writing. So what it is, if you have, say, 4 hex on one guy, and then 1 fear on another, it becomes 0 fear and 3 hex. I think that's more balanced. I think that's actually more balanced. It wouldn't make sense if it blocked debuffs on every single guy. Oh, what is this site? Nukalot? This is actually just the main Axie site. This is the main Axie site showing up all the news. And then we have one last one. Pumpkin. Everyone's gonna be everyone has pumpkin, so this is the one we have to get used to playing. Target an ally, any ally. Next turn after the target is attacked, draw 1 card. So it's a conditional card draw if they hit your guy. So Pumpkin is a reactive card now. It's not just a fire and forget, because Pumpkin right now can either block or draw a card if they don't attack. This, you can play it, and if they don't attack it, you just won't draw a card. Interesting. We still have not seen any secret eating cards yet. Pumpkin became carrot. No, Pumpkin didn't become carrot because Pumpkin still gives energy, or a carrot still gives energy on break or getting health damage. Pumpkin is now still card draw. It's still totally fine. It's still what means. It became Bone Sail. Yes. No, because Bone Sail is on break. Extrude. Hey, good to see you, Moonway. These have the same effect, but Bone Sail is usually on break, right? But yeah, a lot of these cards are getting overlapped now. We have now Pumpkin and Bone Sail are the same card, right? So what is the difference in playing them? I'm not sure. The only thing you'd see is pures. If you're a reptile with Pumpkin, you don't get the pure relic and charm value, right? If you have a pure plant, you would get the bonus value, right? So a lot of people like me are going to get screwed because we have a leaf bug on our plants, so we don't have pure plants anymore. Class advantage does not exist, right? There is a interesting thing about class advantage. I'm not sure if it will be like that, but right now the only class advantage we know of is pures. Pures will get a higher power relic. So right now, let's say hybrids are here. Hybrids are over here. And they can play relics, certain relics, only to about level 1. Maybe level 1 to 2. But if you have a pure, you can play the same relic, but it goes from level... It will go from level, I believe, 1 to 4. You can get all the way up to a level 4. And I think the level 4 will have a much higher effect. So that way it gives pure some advantage, as opposed to right now. Right now, everyone plays hybrids because you get the versatility of all the different cards, right? All the different cards for different classes. But now with that removed, you have to have some incentive to play a pure instead of just using the hybrids and using the overpowered ones. So I don't believe... People say pures are going to be overpowered. I do not think so. I do not think so. I think people are overestimating just how strong the relics are. The relics might not be that powerful, guys. It might actually only add like a minuscule effect, but this is just a stronger because of that.